What's going on, everyone? Another attempt to go. I can't. I spent $8 yesterday on premium on X/Twitter or whatever. And of course, it's not showing up still. I don't care. I'm going to be doing this straight on YouTube. Hopefully, some people will be watching this. Hopefully, some people will be tuning in. And hopefully, within the next few days, I will have the ability to stream on X/Twitter. But that's a joke. I don't like that. That's not okay. But we're here. We're live streaming. We're chopping it up with all of you people. And I just wanted to start here. We're going to be discussing a lot of Knicks stuff. We're going to be talking about the Cam Payne signing, the questionable signing of Cam Payne. We're talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Jalen Brunson re-signing. I haven't gotten a chance to make some comments on that. We're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, the rumor and based off what we saw with Brunson, this rumor that Brunson would take 113 or whatever it is million less dollars. And then everyone was like, really? Is he going to do that? That came to fruition. A very similar rumor comes out with Mikal Bridges, expected to do the same. So I fully expect that to happen. We're going to talk about that as well. And then some comments OG Anunoby made on SiriusXM NBA radio. The Knicks don't love when their players do interviews with outside media sources that aren't the Roommate Show or MSG. So we're going to be talking about that because I think that there was a bunch of interesting stuff in there and nothing negative when it came to the Knicks. So not really sure about the pushback for the Knicks people on that. But we're going to start here with Jalen Brunson's unbelievable discount that he took for the Knicks and he took for the future of the organization and for the city of New York. And Jalen Brunson signs a 4-year, $156.5 million deal, takes a $113 million discount. Unprecedented in the history of sports. The modern era of sports where players are trying to milk as much money as possible. The modern era of sports where LeBron James' idea of taking a pay cut is $10 million, doesn't even end up taking the pay cut. This could change a lot when it comes to trying to win. Because in the past, you look at guys, you don't really doubt their will to win based off what they do on the court and the recruiting of other big players and whatnot. But you haven't really been able to say that a guy, a superstar level talent in the NBA, was willing to take a major discount to potentially put together. And I think in the past, of course, you haven't had a situation like the situation in New York where these guys are best of friends. They come from the same college. They've been boys for years, and they have this unbelievable opportunity to play alongside each other, and not only play alongside each other, but bring a championship to a city that hasn't seen a championship in over 50 years. So this is the ideal situation for this to have happened, and it did happen. And it happened because of the unselfishness of Jalen Brunson. It happened because he understands with the new CBA and how teams are hard capped, whether it be the first apron, the second apron. If you go over the second apron, you're in a lot of trouble. He understands all of this. He understands the financial implications of him waiting a year and taking a lot of money. So he took the smaller deal, and this is going to set the Knicks up even more for success. If you're just joining me now, thank you all. There's 2 people in here on YouTube. Of course, I spent the $8 on X to become a premium member. And of course, it's been a full day, 24 hours, and I cannot stream. That's very unfortunate. And it is what it is. I couldn't miss another day of talking to you people out there. Hopefully, if you're missing this now, that you're able to tune in after this is done. Of course, this goes straight on my YouTube channel, so it will be there, and I will tweet it out as well. So there is just an unbelievable amount of respect and appreciation coming Jalen Brunson's way from all Knicks fans and people around the NBA that are probably looking at this and saying, why couldn't this be my team? What a world that we live in. And I think that this is kind of payback. This is like reverse karma for the years of incompetence, the terrible hiring decisions when it came to the front office, the just straight ineptitude when it came to making moves and hiring head coaches and drafting and everything. That the Knicks finally got their guy in Leon Rose, and he has built this family-like culture within the Knicks. where you see a level of camaraderie that isn't necessarily seen around the league, because you don't get very often guys who went to college together on the same team, guys that no money was involved. There were multiple teams and multiple programs recruiting them. They decided to go to one place, and at that place they actually won. That's half the battle, is actually winning at the college that you go to. And not once, but twice. 2 national championships in 3 years. So this is just one of the most rare situations in the NBA. It gets even more rare with Brunson taking this deal, which for some people it came as a shock. If you're in touch with the Knicks and you believe a lot of the reports by Bondi, by Fred Katz, then you expected Jalen Brunson to make this move. It just made sense. It just like, he wants to be in New York, and then you also know he wants to be with his guys. The Knicks front office did their job by bringing in Jalen Brunson's guys. They did their job by trading for Josh Hart. They did their job by trading for Mikal Bridges. They did their job by doing their due diligence and signing Dante DiVincenzo to the mid-level exception. And this is how Jalen Brunson repays the Knicks for doing all that. I'm sure the Players Association is not happy about this, but tough luck. And this is about to become a lot more common in the league. And you look at teams like the Celtics, who now unfortunately have the two largest contracts in NBA history on the same team. You're paying $100+ million for Drew Holiday. You're paying $100+ million for Derek White. Now you're paying $100+ million for Kristaps Porzingis. They're going to be in trouble. And no wonder their owner wants to sell the team before he's going to have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes every year. The Knicks are in a position where they can avoid that altogether while maintaining a core that rivals the Celtics. Jalen Brunson set the tone for the rest of the team. He set the tone for Mikal Bridges. Now all eyes shifted to Julius Randle, who's eligible for an extension in the month of August, and we will see how that transpires. We will see what happens with Julius Randle and whether or not he is going to take the money on the table, or let's say he wants to take a discount. It has been reported that James Dolan, and this is no surprise, should be a shock to anyone, that James Dolan, and he's in the news for another reason. That's something that I need to read up on and discuss with you at a later date. That James Dolan loves Julius Randle. That James Dolan values loyalty. He values the fact that Julius Randle decided to join the Knicks at one of the lowest points in franchise history. We should all respect that as well. Instead of throwing his name out there in trade proposals and saying, I want him dealt for Şengün, which is not happening. I want him dealt for whoever. I don't want to hear it. I think we all as Knicks fans should value the loyalty that Julius Randle has given the Knicks since he signed with them in 2019, when it was expected that it was going to be Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. No, it was Julius Randle. And guess who's still with their team? It's Julius Randle. Guess who didn't ask for a trade like Kyrie and KD did? Julius Randle didn't. Even when times were tough, he could have easily done it in 2021, 2022, and the Knicks went back down to where they were, mediocrity. He could have done it. He didn't. He stayed with the Knicks, and the Knicks should reward him by allowing him a chance to play with this unbelievably talented team. That's another story for another day. We will cover that. We will discuss it as it gets closer and closer. And if there are any more rumors that come out about Julius Randle and any plans for him to sign on the dotted line or to pay cut, we're going to discuss that at a later date. But I wanted to also hit on here the signing of Cam Payne, which I know I speak for a lot of Knicks fans in saying that this was just not expected. I opened my phone, saw that tweet from Woj, and I was like, huh? What? The Knicks already have Jalen Brunson, Miles McBride, Tyler Kolek, who is showing signs of being a rotation guy. I mean, he's going to develop even further, but he's already at that age where at some point, considering where the Knicks drafted him, and again, considering his age, he will be able to be slotted in to the bench lineup, and he might be able to play a few minutes a game with his playmaking ability, with his facilitating, with his ability to score the ball as well. But the signing of Cam Payne is a little questionable when you consider the depth that the Knicks have at the point guard position. When you consider the fact that Cam Payne is a point guard. Yes, you could slot him in at the 2, but alongside Jalen Brunson, that's like the shortest backcourt in the NBA. Deuce McBride, you could put at the 2 because he's lengthy and he could defend shooting guards as well as point guards. That's a different story. But with Cam Payne, and again, like I hate Cam Payne. Like I hate playing against him. I hate how no matter what you do against him, he's going to have a really solid game every other time you play him. When you look at what he did in game 3 against the Knicks, 3 for 4 from deep. The Sixers, of course, win that game to avoid the 3-0 deficit. And say what you want about the questionable calls or the questionable no calls on Joel Embiid. They shouldn't have won that game in the first place. But one of the reasons why they did is because of Cam Payne and his clutch shot making. So as a veteran's minimum guy, I mean, you can't really complain. The Knicks signed him for what they were able to sign him. They didn't have to eat into the smaller exception that they have. So how I view this roster now isn't much different than how I viewed the roster before they signed Cam Payne. Just they're a little bit more deep in the backcourt. I'm just a little surprised that they didn't use that money on a front court player. I just can't see how they could possibly be confident in Jericho Sims being the backup for Mitchell Robinson, especially on a championship team. And maybe they've gone out there and maybe they've tested the waters and called up everyone and their mothers trying to make a deal for a backup center or even a starting center and just haven't really seen the interest in the assets that they have that they could possibly give up that they would have liked. There were a bunch of guys in free agency that went without the Knicks making an offer. I mean, of course, we don't know. This front office moves in silence, but from what has been reported, it didn't seem like the Knicks went out there and did their due diligence on trying to sign any one of those guys. Jonas Valanciunas, Goga Bitadze, who we talked about at length when it was presumed that the Knicks were interested in him and were going to try to go out and get him. And, of course, that didn't come to fruition. But the Knicks are now at a point where the one major question mark for this team is who backs up Mitchell Robinson. A lot of people out there are going to say that Mitchell Robinson is the question mark himself. I'd say the two question marks are Mitchell Robinson's health and the backup. The Knicks need someone who could slot in, someone who could facilitate, like Isaiah Hartenstein. I know that was a type of unicorn player in his playmaking and his floater game and his vision. Like that was a player that you don't get too often. The Knicks took a chance on him. They gave him $9 million a year. He cashed in. He played extremely well in New York, and he got paid $29 million a year by a contending team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, which essentially used its entire cap space to sign him. And he decided to instead of taking the pay cut with the Knicks, he decided to go to a team that has a better chance to win a championship than the Knicks. As good as the Knicks are, as confident as I am in the Knicks going out there and advancing to a conference finals, potentially beating Boston to advance the finals, I see the path for the Thunder being a lot easier than the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. As deep as the Western Conference is, I think the Thunder are head and shoulders above whoever else is at the top of the West, especially when you consider the Nuggets again got a little bit worse. When you consider the fact, yes, the Mavericks added Klay Thompson. Okay, great. It's going to be very hard for them to duplicate the success that they had against the Thunder. Yes, they beat them, of course. Adding Isaiah Hartenstein into the middle is going to change the whole dynamic of that offense, especially when you consider the fact that Chet Holmgren is not going to have to guard the opposing center. Isaiah Hartenstein did get exposed in the Eastern Conference playoffs against Joel Embiid, who cooked him and who had him in foul trouble most games. Nikola Jokic will probably have his way with Isaiah Hartenstein. But when you consider the fact that the Thunder just have so many great defensive pieces around Hartenstein that that's going to be limited. The exposure that he's gonna face with the top centers in the league is going to be limited because the perimeter defense is as solid as it gets in the NBA. And you add Alex Caruso to the mix as well, they're a scary team. They're not just a scary team this year. They're not just a scary team next year. They're a scary team for the next 10 years. If they could get their core and retain them, Hartenstein, he's gone after 2 years, I think. They're not going to be able to pay him. The Knicks might, who knows, they might have some money to pay. I could see Hartenstein getting maybe the same amount of money. I don't see his value increasing in that time span, but I do see the amount of money that's about to come in with this new TV deal. And of course, he's going to be making even more money. So there could be a likelihood that Hartenstein gets similar money from another team, but a team that isn't necessarily a contender. He might have to take a pay cut to be a part of a contender. They're not going to be able to pay in 2 years. There's no chance. Unless they really want to eat into the money they owe. I don't know if he has early bird rights. I don't know if it's similar to what the Knicks had with him. I really don't know. I'm not a cap wizard. Trust me, you could tell. I get all my information from guys like Jeremy Cohen of Knicks Film School, who's great. Fred Katz knows a lot too. And thank God the Knicks have Brock Allen as their cap aficionado. I mean, I'm sure that, when you look at the type of moves they made in season, signing Shake Milton to a guaranteed deal, signing Diakite to a minimum deal before the end of the season, knowing they could potentially need to include those guys in deals because you weren't allowed to include two-way players or minimum guys. This team is just so confident. I know I digress. I'm off topic. Bryce Gelman here, talking about the Knicks, talking about the signing of Payne, complaining about Twitter/X/whatever. Elon Musk is a grifter. There's a reason why I'm not streaming live on X. Hopefully, I don't know. I subscribe to premium. He got my money. He got my $8 a month. He'll continue to get my $8 a month, and hopefully that amounts to something. And I'm just annoyed. I'm frustrated, as you can imagine, when I spend $8, and of course, I'm still not able to stream on X. Everything is for sale now on that website, which it should be. But that's, again, another story for another day, and hopefully it doesn't need to be another story for another day. Last thing I wanted to cover today is OG Anunoby sat down with a few of the great hosts with my employer at SiriusXM NBA Radio. He saw Tom Crean was there. Tom Crean, one of the hosts on SiriusXM NBA Radio the past couple of months, and he came on the show. And he did a 15-minute interview, and he gave a lot of good stuff. And I want to bring up some of that here, and I'm going to read some of the comments that he gave about various different subjects, starting with Julius Randle. This is OG on teammate Julius Randle. He could do it all out there. He's really a triple-double threat every night, and then he could score with the best. Tough shot maker, gets to the rim, just a threat from all over the floor. You always have to know where he's at. Yeah, you always have to know where he's at. And this, this is part of the reason why I can't see the Knicks trading away Julius Randle. He, by himself, can corral the defense in a way that not many other players in the NBA can, because he's 6'9", 250. He gets downhill. You have to collapse on him. You need to double team him. You need to rotate over to help, leaving someone wide open. And he can facilitate. He can pass. He's a playmaker. He's a unicorn in the NBA. I understand there's a lot of other negatives to him. His positives are going to be so clear as day, with the amount of talent that he has surrounding him. Jalen Brunson had to completely take over for the Knicks. He had to put the team on his back. There's a reason why he was fifth in MVP voting, because of what he was able to do after January 27th, willing the Knicks to the second seed in the East, being constantly double teamed because Julius Randle wasn't there. And now Julius is going to be back. Jalen Brunson's going to have a field day. And guess who else is on the wing? Mikal Bridges. And they also have OG Anunoby. They're so stacked and so well set up, specifically with Julius Randle. OG Anunoby also spoke on the addition of Mikal Bridges, said it's really cool, we could switch off one guy, take him for a quarter, other guy, take him for a quarter. We can mix and match. We were a really versatile group, and I think we're going to show that from the start next year. Yeah, right? Like, there is just no other team that boasts the level of switchability, versatility on the wings like the Knicks do. Two lengthy, defensive-minded wings who also happen to have an offensive game. Two of the 3 or 4 best 3-and-D guys in the NBA the Knicks have. And Mikal Bridges has shown an ability to play make and facilitate and create shots on his own, which the Knicks really need in a third option. As much as OG Anunoby showed flashes of that, specifically those last 3 or 4 games with Julius Randle still healthy before his shoulder injury, it's a good sign. It really is. And he can take a step back offensively, too, and he's going to be able to do what he needs to do. And, guess what? You got Dante DiVincenzo and Miles McBride off the bench. So, it's such a good time to be a Knicks fan. You got the stuff with the Yankees, if you're a fan of both teams. That's just a whole other disgusting situation. The Yankees finally showed some promise, winning 2 in Baltimore and then blowing a game in which they had absolutely no business blowing. So same old with the Yankees, but not the same old with the Knicks. We are in a new era, ladies and gentlemen, a 5-year championship window. Strap into your seats. Get ready. It's about to be a very fun ride. So we're going to be talking more about the Knicks Summer League stuff. The Knicks play again in the Summer League tonight. Of course, One Giant Step with Sean Morash is going to be released tonight or tomorrow morning after the release of Hard Knocks. I'll be reacting to it right after Hard Knocks airs and then putting that out in the morning. So if you are a Giants fan, you could obviously tune into that. I'll be releasing the link and everything and retweeting whatever Sean puts out on his page in the morning tomorrow. So we'll be doing all that. A lot of good stuff happening. I'm assuming that I'm going to have to talk about the Yankees again and keep beating the dead horse and keep talking about the exact same stuff I've been talking about since 2021, maybe even before that. But either way, it's good to be with you all again. And Elon Musk, get your shit together, figure it out, and let me stream on your platform. I'm Bryce Gelman. Talk to you all later this week.